We are going to start today's session. Till now we have seen what UI automation is and how to use a WebDriver to invoke a browser and open a website. But once we have a web page, we have to interact with the page via code, like clicking over a button, entering username and password, or selecting a link. By combination of all these steps, we can simulate our test scenarios. To interact with an element inside the web page, first we need to know how to find it. We know all elements are the part of HTML, so we need to understand some terminologies of HTML and CSS. If you already know the HTML and CSS, you can skip this session, but I strongly recommend to go through this session at least once. So let's start understanding the HTML part. The language which is understandable by the browser is HTML. The browser knows how to parse an HTML code and represent it to the user. Any modern web UI contains three components. First HTML, second CSS, and third any script like JavaScript. The HTML tags are responsible for the actual content of the page, where CSS decides the styling of that content. The CSS only decides different formatting of HTML elements like its alignment, orientations, margins, etc. Our motive is to find that element irrespective of its CSS. However, sometimes we need to assert its CSS property as well. To locate any element inside a page, we need to know the position of the element. There are many ways to find out the location of the element. However, before that, let's create a simple web page and open it in the browser. For creation of simple web page, you can choose any text editors. I have Sublime. Now before starting, I'm going to save this web page as HTML. I'm going to save it on desktop, giving it name as demo.html. Okay, so outermost tag of any HTML page is HTML. Let me delete auto inserted tags so that we can have better understanding. Now inside HTML, there are two main parts. First one is head, which contains metadata about the page itself. It also contains the style part. Second part is body, which basically contains the actual content. In head, we can provide title. This is the page title. And in the body, we can provide the actual components. I'm going to provide paragraph component with p tag. This is my paragraph. That's enough for now. I'm going to save it and let's open this web page in browser. So demo.html, I'm going to open it with Safari. So this is the page. As you can see, that code is rendered by the browser and that code is now converted into this simple web page. So this is the paragraph element and the title of the page. Now it's time to add some style on my page. So again, go to your code and I'm going to add some style which is by CSS. So style tag, and inside style tag I'm going to use body. So background color this time is green. So save this file and refresh the page. And as you can see, the CSS have been applied. So we have two components. One is HTML and second is CSS. By combining these two components, we can actually design a web page, a beautiful looking web page. So CSS have changed the look and feel of our page, but content remains same. So we can say each element in a web page is defined or declared under its tag. If we want to find an element, we must know the exact tag of that element. However, It may be possible that multiple elements have same tag. For example, a single web page contains multiple links and each link has same tag. So in that case, we have different element attributes. To demonstrate attributes, I am going to add two attributes in my file. So first attribute is ID. So ID equals to my ID, let's suppose, and name equals to my name. We have added two different attributes to a paragraph element. Let me save it and see, is there any difference in my web page? Refresh your page and there is no change. So there is no effect on visualization of element by adding those attributes. The browser knows attributes are for developers' own use and not for the viewers. However, there are many attributes which can change the UI of the page. Now, if we want to find an element on the page, we can also find them using attributes, and more effectively by combining both attributes and tags. So before going forward, let's summarize first what we have learned so far. We learned what is HTML and CSS. Second, how to make a very simple web page. A single web page may contain n number of elements, each have their own tags. Third, apart from tags, elements may also contain attributes. And fourth, to locate an element inside the web page, we can use its tag, its attribute, or combine both.
I got your point, but in our case, we have created our page. Therefore, we know the tags and attribute. However, how can we get this information for the web page, which is not developed by us?
Apparently, it is impossible that we are going to test only our own page. In practical scenario, we actually have to test a web page which is developed by someone else. So fortunately, all browsers provide a feature to find out information about any element of a web page. This feature is Developer Toolbar. Let's see this feature on multiple browsers. Let's start with Firefox. Now in Firefox, I am going to open facebook.com. In order to see all the tags and attributes of different elements, we have option of inspect element. So just right click anywhere on the page and click over inspect element. Here our primary focus is on finding tag and attributes of the element with this toolbar. Apart from this toolbar, we have also an arrow to select any element. So select this arrow, and now if you hover this arrow over any other element, you can find out different tags and attribute of that element. Again, let's suppose I want to find out the attribute of this drop down. Then you can find out that ID of this drop down is day, class is something, and it have multiple options. Let's do the same thing on Chrome browser. So again, open facebook.com. Right click anywhere in the web page, inspect, same arrow, select any element whose tags and attributes you want to find. Next browser is Safari. Here we are going to use same tool to inspect our own page. So inspect element, and here you can find out the actual code behind the element, all the tags and attributes.
Why are we learning all this stuff? As I believe our motive is to automate the UI only, I'm not able to connect all this HTML stuff, and the WebDriver and automation.
That's okay, as I am going to connect both WebDriver and HTML to view the bigger picture. Our motive is to write a script which can interact with different HTML elements. These elements are inside the web page. So to interact, first we need to provide the address of these elements in our script and then take necessary action on them. Here the address of an element is nothing but the combination of their tags, paths, and attributes. It means we need to find the element first and then take any action we want to do on them. In the context of Selenium, these elements are known as web elements, and Selenium provides numerous ways to find a web element and take different actions on them. Let's see the documentation of web element to see different methods it exposes. So go to Google and search for web element Java doc. So web element is an interface and it provides method like clear, click, find element, find elements. By using find element, we can find out a particular web element, and we have by class. So click over the by class, and these are the different strategies by which we can find an element present on the web page. This is by class name, by CSS, by ID, by link text, by name, by partial link text, by tag name, and by XPath. These are the different ways of finding an element by WebDriver.
Okay, I got it now. These are the different method to find an element, and once we have the element we can perform necessary action on them.
Yes, that's correct. That's the way how Selenium works. Find the element and take action on it. By this way we can simulate our scenarios. So that's all for this session. We'll learn some fundamental part of HTML and how to use same to find an element. In the next session, we will use all these element finding strategies to find elements on a web page.